Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider becoming a subscriber to our channel. The name of our channel is Ignition Time. This channel is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. I have some important new information about the unemployment benefits that are part of the new bill that is being proposed right now as we speak. In fact, at the time I'm recording this video, the meeting today between the Big Four, the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has already taken place. They spoke from 4:10 p.m. East Coast time to 4:58 p.m. East Coast time, and I show that they are scheduled to speak again tonight at 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. In this video, I'm going to focus on what the aspects, the unemployment benefit aspects are. As you probably know, almost 19 million of our fellow Americans are getting unemployment benefits, and a majority of them are actually on the PUA program and the PEUC program. The PUA program was set up for part-time workers, gig workers, self-employed workers, and the PEUC program is a 13-week extension to the state unemployment program. So if you went on unemployment back in March or April, your unemployment probably ran out, the state unemployment, and you're probably on the PEUC program right now. And unless there is any legislation from Congress for extension, at the time I'm recording this video, there isn't, but unless there is any legislation from Congress for extension, these programs could be gone completely. So the bipartisan COVID-19 Emergency Relief Act of 2020, which consists of two parts. One is a $748 billion, which is essentially part one, that focuses on unemployment benefits. And there's a second part that's right around $150 billion that focuses on state and local funding, and that focuses on liability protection. So the $748 billion part of the bipartisan COVID-19 Emergency Relief Act of 2020 would pay extra benefits, and I'm going to highlight those benefits and some key changes as far as different programs, the PUA program and other programs are concerned. So there are indeed several provisions, and I'm hoping that Congress essentially gets around to passing this. So this relief package, if it's passed, would be the first since the CARES Act in early spring that would address unemployment benefits. And it is scheduled to extend aid programs and increase the federal booster on top of state unemployment benefits by $300 a week. So here's a comment from Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat from West Virginia. The bill takes care of those who are unemployed. That's what he said during a press conference in the past 24 hours. And keep in mind, again, there are 19 million of our fellow Americans collecting unemployment. So here are some of the unemployment measures that are in the bipartisan COVID-19 Emergency Relief Act of 2020. Let's start with number one, the $300 per week. This legislation would pay $300 a week to all workers receiving unemployment benefits. It would be a federal booster on top of state unemployment benefits. It would be available for 4 months for periods of unemployment falling between December 26th and April 19th. So it would be for 4 months for periods of unemployment falling between December 26th and April 19th. With that weekly supplement, the average recipient of state benefits would get right around $620 a week according to Labor Department data. And this is similar to the $600 a week federal booster, but obviously it's smaller. It's half of that. And the CARES Act, as you remember, offered $600 a week, which expired at the end of July. Then President Trump stepped in with the Lost Wages Assistance Program through executive order, which ran out pretty quick. And unfortunately, the Lost Wages Assistance Program, a lot of people weren't eligible. There were a lot of individuals who made less than a certain threshold who were not eligible, and hundreds of thousands of workers, simply because of eligibility restrictions, didn't get any funding. The second provision in this bipartisan stimulus package is extra weeks. Now, what do I mean by extra weeks? This legislation would provide 4 extra months. That's 4 extra months of jobless benefits to workers who are collecting money through the PUA program and the PEUC program. Now, keep in mind, you can't be on both. It's, you can be on one or the other. So the PUA program will be extended by 4 months, as well as the PEUC program, which will also be extended. As you know, the PUA program is for self-employed workers, and the PUC program is a 13-week extension, like I mentioned earlier. Now, these programs, which collectively support approximately 13 million individuals, yes, 13 million individuals, are scheduled to end in the last week of this month, unless there is any legislation for extension. So according to Andrew Stetner, who's a senior fellow at the Century Foundation, continuing benefits and adding $300 on top will make a big difference to a lot of people. I mean, of course, we know that. Though he said we may not be out of this in 16 weeks. Now, that's a good point. Now, one of the big problems I've talked about elsewhere on our channel is the problem of PUA program overpayments and of fraud associated with the PUA program. Because the PUA program was rolled out so quickly, keep in mind it was modeled off the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program, the DUA program, which had some ongoing documentation requirements. You had to submit paperwork on an ongoing basis for that old program. But the PUA program essentially did away with that kind of documentation. Because the PUA program was implemented very quickly, was easily executable for the government, and because the requirements to be eligible for the PUA program were not as much as the DUA program that it was modeled off of, there was a significant amount of fraud. I have done other videos on our channel where I've talked about the significant fraud with the PUA program, $1 billion in fraud in the state of California alone, which, by the way, is the state with the largest problem as far as number of unemployed individuals are concerned. It has a lot to do with the population in California. But inmates, yes, prisoners in the state of California actually got PUA benefits and PUA cards. Just unbelievable, the amount of fraud that went on in California. So associated with that was a problem of PUA overpayments. Individuals were simply overpaid by the state as a result of an administrative error on the part of the state, which was rushing to send out the money. Now, in case you're wondering, how can the state send out money, if you're not eligible? Well, that's because they make mistakes. The state can make mistakes. It's as simple as that. When you do something quickly, you compromise on quality control, you compromise on quality checks, and then mistakes are made. The problem is when you receive the money, you don't know that it was sent to you by mistake and you desperately need the money, so you spend it. A lot of individuals who were recipients of the PUA program were asked to return the money through no fault of their own because it was an administrative error on the part of the state. It was not fraud on the part of the recipient, it was an administrative error. So what is happening this time with this new stimulus bill is they're trying to address that. Originally, the PUA program overpayments could not be forgiven by the state because the state was accountable to the federal government. Keep in mind, this is money coming from the federal government to the state. This isn't money that the state has as part of its own insurance program through the taxes and through all the money it collects from local residents to pay out state unemployment benefits. That's how the traditional state unemployment benefit system is structured. The PUA program was set up by the federal government as a result of the CARES Act. Therefore, the money for the PUA comes from the federal government to state government. So many PUA recipients actually got paid in error during the recession. Again, some were due to inadvertent mistakes by the applicants during the application process, and others were because of administrative errors on the part of the state. So many workers have been told they owe hundreds, in some cases thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, which may have long been spent. That's a problem because states essentially made mistakes. They made errors while issuing payments. And what states can do in such situations is actually garnish future benefits, tax returns, or even wages in an attempt to recoup the money. This is devastating for individuals who've received the money and who needed that money to put food on the table, to pay rent, to keep the lights on. Now, with traditional unemployment, states can actually waive overpayments if there is a good case to be made for waiving the overpayment. That is with traditional state benefits, but states cannot waive PUA program overpayments. So the CARES Act did not allow for the PUA program overpayments to be waived. And according to Michelle Evermore, who's an unemployment benefits expert, the PUA overpayment problem is about to explode. On your screen, you'll see a chart that shows you the monthly job growth, and you can see that basically a significant amount of jobs were lost, and then gradually the jobs have been coming back, but the degree to which jobs are returning has essentially tapered off. And this does coincide with the PUA program, which essentially, a lot of individuals are unemployed, which means that if you ask an unemployed individual who's already spent the money to pay back money to the state, it creates an unimaginable burden for them. So the bipartisan legislation, this is important, would allow states, the new bipartisan legislation, unlike the CARES Act, would allow states to waive PUA overpayment in cases where they were issued through no fault of the individual, which means if it was not a mistake during the application process, intentional or unintentional, intentional is fraud. If it was an administrative error on the part of the state, then the PUA overpayment could be waived according to the bipartisan proposal. This is a good thing. I guess those individuals would have lucked out if this becomes law and if the PUA overpayments are forgiven. But right now, they are not forgiven. So basically, it would allow states to waive repayments when, and I quote, contrary to equity and good conscience, per the text of the bill. That means people would not have to pay if it would cause them extreme financial hardship. So that's a very interesting sort of a provision in the new bill. And again, this would make it somewhat similar, the waiving of the PUA payments, overpayments through administrative errors when it's no fault of the individual would make it somewhat similar to state unemployment benefits. And here's another big change with the bipartisan Senate relief proposal. Many workers who became unemployed in the early days of COVID, we're talking March of this year, they are fast approaching 1 year of joblessness. It's already been close to 9 months, believe it or not. We've been living in this nightmare for 9 months. States generally recalculate benefits after the 1 year milestone is achieved. That's what states generally do. And for most, that would mean a severely reduced benefit after 1 year. And some individuals after a year could be deemed ineligible for benefits altogether. And that's because states actually calculate benefits based on work history that's roughly going back a year and a half. And those who haven't found new work in the past year or have worked fewer hours would not have that work history and would therefore be essentially less eligible for ongoing benefits. On your screen, you'll see a chart of total US employment, and you'll see that in February 2020, it was 152.5 million individuals employed, followed by a steep dip, a massive dip going down to 130 million. More than 20 million people became unemployed. Now, with the most recent data we have in November 2020, 142.6 million individuals are employed, which means that there are still almost 20 million individuals who are unemployed. So there's a big gap, millions of our fellow Americans are still unemployed. Now, here's the important thing. The bipartisan legislation would allow people to keep their current level of benefits beyond a year for those whose recalculated benefits would be at least $25 less. So in other words, if your recalculated benefits were at least $25 less, in other words, if there was not that big of a discrepancy, you would then be able to continue getting your benefits. Otherwise, according to Michelle Evermore, we'd have a big catastrophe in March, and this extension would be available until the 19th of April. Here's a comment from Senator Susan Collins from Maine, the Republican, who's one of the key lawmakers behind the bipartisan Senate relief deal. Undoubtedly, we may have to do more. Let's not go home for Christmas without passing this much needed relief for the American people. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I really appreciate you watching. Remember, the Ignition Time channel is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. We cover matters that are important to the country, that impact the economy, that in turn impact your wallet. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, here's my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. If you have a moment, check out my video. I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. And as we recover from this madness, from this horrific crisis, I want to help you live your American dream. So please make sure you click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications so you get instant updates from our channel going forward. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. If you want to get added to our SMS alerts list, our text messaging alerts list, all you have to do is simply get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time in the body of the text message, and then send that text message to 70,000. That's 70000. You will get added to our SMS alerts list, and then you can opt out of the alerts list at any time. You'll get breaking news, important information that impacts the country, important information that impacts the economy, and important information that affects your money. We'll also release information about any important programs we might release, which are going to be very, very limited if and when we release them, because it's a time commitment for me. So I'll let you know if that happens. Also, you can get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts. You'll get added to our email list. You can opt out of the emails at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. No concerns. You can opt out of the email list or the SMS list at any point in time that you want. Speaking of notifications, sometimes, not always, YouTube does not always send out notifications on time. What they do is sometimes there's a delay with the notifications. It happens. So all you have to do is simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. And then you can visit the homepage of our channel through your browser anytime you want, and you're not dependent on notifications from YouTube, so you might find that valuable. Speaking of valuable, follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You'll get exclusive content specifically as an Instagram follow. You can also follow us on Twitter. Simply follow us on Twitter at ignition_time, the same handle as Instagram. You'll get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter about all things that are important to the country, the economy, and money. So make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. Again, my name is Dr. Nitin Choda. The one thing I encourage you to do is comment below. Our community is very respectful, it's bipartisan, it's highly intelligent, and it's growing very quickly. So I think you'll make some new friends in our community. So please make sure you participate in our community. A healthy debate is always welcome. We can agree to disagree. I believe that's what makes us great as a country and as a people. So make sure you comment below. Also, share this video with friends and family. I need your help. I really need your help to grow our community, and I would greatly appreciate that. Finally, all I ask you to do is please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That tells the YouTube algorithm that you found the content helpful. That really helps us out at the channel. We work very hard behind the scenes to put together all of this content, to organize the content, and to present it to you in a fair and balanced manner. I want you to remember, for us at the Ignition Time channel, it's not about the red or the blue. It's simply about the red, white, and blue. It's not about being a Democrat or a Republican. It's about being an American first. We are all Americans first. And that is what makes the Ignition Time channel unique. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember, you'll find a link to all of our resources in the description section below. So make sure you check out the description section to get links to our resources. I really appreciate you watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.